Welcome to Candy Shoppe Yarns, where everything is sugar-free and high in fiber. I'm Deborah, your confectioner extraordinaire. I'm the owner of Candy Shoppe Yarns, and this is the ultimate destination for knitting and crochet enthusiasts. I invite you to join in the friendly community of crafters who have a sweet tooth for fun by hitting the subscribe button. So let's get started on episode 15. Episode 15, it is Thursday, July 27th, 2023. And it has been a little while and I'm really excited to be back here. I actually recorded an episode 2 or so weeks ago. And when I went to edit, discovered that it was all in slow motion. That would have been the world's longest and most boring podcast in the world. So I decided to just scrap that and try again later. Well, let's see. I'm going to give you a bit of life update, and then I have a winner that I have pulled from last episode's prize. I have lots of finished objects, including some knitting and crochet and sewing. I have some works in progress and some fun Barbie related things. I have some fun mail, a little bit of shop news, and that's what we're gonna do. So, life update. For those of you that have been following along, my daughter Ella, she had her baby. Yay! His name is Owen, and he is the most perfect little munchkin in the world. So he's adorable, super cute, and they're going to come over today in a little bit, so I'll get to see and cuddle him. And both Ella and Owen are healthy and doing well, so that's good. Let's see, that was a little over a week ago. I've done lots of fun things this summer, and one of them is I have a season pass to our local amusement park called Lagoon, and I got one for myself and one for my daughter Nadia, and she has gone several times, but I haven't gone, so I ended up going with her just for a short time. We checked the weather forecast, and it looked like it was going to be overcast and cooler for like half of the day, so I said, let's just jump in the car and go. So we did. We just went for like 3 hours, and it was really fun. While we were at Lagoon, I was taking a picture of Nadia and on this bridge, and I noticed on one of the boards there was this like a little plaque, and I told her just move a little bit to hide that when we take the picture. So I took the picture, and then she moved back, and I thought, what is that plaque? And I looked at it. It's the funniest sign. I'm going to post that here. So we saw that, and Nadia said, oh, I think there are others around. And I turned around, and on the other side of the bridge, I saw another plaque where I discovered that they have not a treasure hunt, scavenger hunt. I didn't have time that day to go on the scavenger hunt, but now I know what I'm going to do next time I am there. I'm going on the scavenger hunt. But Nadia remembered where one other little plaque was, so she took me over to that, and I'm going to share a picture of that also here. So now when I go back to Lagoon, I am going to forget the rides, I'm going to be on the lookout for all of these ridiculous little plaques. I mean, they were like this big, just tiny. Oh, I love things like that, little details. They just make my day. My raspberries have been doing great. I've had this dream since I was a little girl of having my own raspberry canes, just rows of it where I could go out in the morning and pick a bowl full of berries and have that with cream. And now I can pick a bowl full of berries, but I can't have cream. That's okay. But so far I have picked about 5 gallons of raspberries for my family, and then probably another 1 or 2 that we've given away to other people. And I just wash them, dry them, freeze them, and store those until I'm ready to use them. So I will be making a lot of jam. I need to get to that, but I just haven't had any time. But I'm just so thrilled with the raspberries this year. We have 3 types. We have a golden, a fall gold raspberry. We have, I forgot, Boyne. Wait, no, that's not. Yes, that's one. Willamette? I don't know. I could just be pulling names out of the air that are not actual raspberry varieties, but we're going to pretend that that's what they are. Those 3, and I like them all for different reasons. So then we hosted a Pioneer Day barbecue. So the 24th of July is our Utah state holiday, and it's called Pioneer Day. And my husband and I bought a whole bunch of different barbecue seasonings, like dry rubs. And in our family, we really like to do blind taste testings, just for fun, of random whatever. And we thought, oh, it'd be fun if we did that with all these different barbecue seasonings. And I thought, that's going to be a lot of food to cook for just a few of us. So I thought, the only way to do this is if we do that with a big group of friends. So I invited friends over, and I grilled a lot of different and barbecued a lot of different types of meat. But in the end, we only used like 3 of the seasonings and didn't do blind taste testing. That's okay. So now we have a lot of seasonings that we won't use. I need to find people that will use them. One time we did melons, a whole bunch of different kinds of melons, because our local grocery store had like a melon bonanza kind of thing, and we got like 8 different kinds, and just spur of the moment invited all of our neighbors to come, whoever could come, and we did blind taste testing, and it was really fun because we had little kids, we had teenagers, we had adults. It was just fun. We've done disgusting and ridiculous soda flavors. We've done American candies because we had a foreign exchange student here from Japan. We thought we'll do some blind taste testing with her. The hard part was figuring out what are the American candies, not ones that like, I don't know, what are things, when you live somewhere, you don't know if it's just common to where you are or everywhere. I just assume things, especially today, are so widely available everywhere, and then I discovered that they're not. Like, I didn't know that Hershey's was like, that's a really American thing. I know that now. Twizzlers. What else? I don't know. But I was contacting several of my friends in other places around the world and saying, what would you want to try if you came to America? And they'd like tell me some different things, grape flavored candies. So anyways, I don't remember exactly what they all were, but we tried some fun things. What else have we done? I don't know, a lot of things. It's just been so hot. Speaking of which, it's been so hot. Like when we had the 24th of July barbecue at my house, and it was just, I mean, it had been 104 degrees, I think, the day before, and the day before that it was like 102. Anyways, it's just been so hot. So I have this thing that I bought last year, thanks to my sister Emily, who recommended not this one, but a different one. And then I went on and was researching and decided I wanted to pick a different thing. So if you have not heard of this before, you'll thank me if you live somewhere where it gets hot. So it just has this really nice case, and it has a charger, but it's a neck fan. There's a lot of different ones, but I really like this one. It has not just fans, but so you put it around your neck, and it has these vents, and fans will blow up into your face to help keep you cool. So it doesn't just have fans with 3 different like speeds or settings, but it also has these cooling plates on the back of the neck that will chill. So when you put it on, you can use the cooling feature of those plates and the fans, or just the fans. and this saved me when we were setting up for the barbecue. I don't care if I look ridiculous. I already have my old lady neck light, so I'm just embracing it. I'm just embracing it. Yesterday, oh yeah, Emily and I went, my sister and I went on a picnic. We decided we needed to get out and do something. I wanted to get into nature. I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to visit with her because we have not done that for a long time. So we decided we're going to go up into Mill Creek Canyon, which is beautiful canyons not too far from me. And we were going to take a picnic and our chairs and our knitting, and we were going to sit by a stream and visit and knit. So Emily came and picked me up. We got up there, we set up our chairs and our picnic and started eating, and then the bugs descended. It was like a cloud of them. That's what it felt like. And they weren't just like around you. They were like flying into your face and just like attacking. It was just the worst. And we so desperately needed that break. And we're like, we're just gonna ignore them. And we made a really good effort. But once one flew into Emily's ear and one flew down my shirt into my bra, we both were like, that's it, we're done. We're done. We're out of here. So we packed up and came back to my house. Oh, anyways, we tried. But both she and I had our neck fan. Okay, enough of that. Giveaway winner. So I had mentioned at the beginning of the year that I was going through all of my project bags because I had a lot of project bags. It's ridiculous. I have an episode where I went through all the bags. I think the episode was called How Many Bags Is Too Many or Are Too Many, or I don't know. Doesn't matter. And I decided I was going to sort through and cull some of those from my stash and use them as giveaways, because who doesn't love a good project bag, as evidenced by myself, who has so many, yet I still am collecting them because I love them. But if I get rid of a whole bunch of them, then I can have new refreshed ones. And then, so this is one that I pulled from my stash, and it's one that I've made, and I love a good drawstring bag. I don't know what it is about it. Well, I just like project bags, but I really love drawstring bags, and this is a nice medium size, and this is the lining, and it has some pockets, and then I had a skein of yarn that I thought looked pretty with the bag that I have dyed, and it is a one-of-a-kind colorway, and I just call those mystery confection. So there's a whole bunch of different mystery confections. I had somebody ask me if I could re-dye mystery confection, but that means it's a non-repeatable colorway. So the giveaway winner for that one is Heather Matteau, M-A-T-O. I don't know if I said that right, but I had asked a question last time that I wanted people to answer in the comments, and then I did a random comment picker, and she is the winner. So Heather, if you will contact me through my email, which is in the description box below, it's candyshopyarns@gmail.com. But you'll want to check the precise spelling in the description box, because I'm going to need your full name and your mailing address, some information from you. Okay, let's get started. I will pick another project bag and some yarn for my next episode, and I will have a giveaway then. So I'm going to get started with all of my finished objects. I have a stash. So I have some knitting, some crochet, some sewing. I mentioned let's just start with, well, we'll start with my crochet because it's just the sweetest, the sweetest. I showed this little guy last time. Okay, let's see. You gonna focus there? You can do it. You can do it. How do I do it? I don't know. Not sure. Let's try. Nope, that's not gonna do it. Anyways, here's my little guy. The name of this pattern is Jet the Little Fox. So This was the most tedious project. Oh my word, so tedious. I think that every time, like when I'm starting amigurumi, I'll watch videos on Instagram of people working on it and I think, oh, that just looks like something I want to do right now. I want to go start a project. It looks so enjoyable, and I get started on it and I'm just like, this is not enjoyable. But I keep doing it. So there's something enjoyable about it. I think there are moments of it, but this one, I enjoyed the finished the finished product, but I didn't really enjoy the whole process. And I mentioned his nose last time being a little bit twisty, but I think that's because, like, put it on crooked. I didn't put it on crooked. I lined up the colors on the edges and started sewing, but it looks funny right here. And that's because when you're crocheting in a circle, it kind of spirals, and there may be a way to fix that, but I don't know it. And he has just kind of a curious, or like his snout is twisting like this. That's kind of what he's what he's doing. He's adorable though. But what was tedious were the ears and the little snout, and most of all the shorts. I thought that these shorts would have been crocheted like this and you just switched colors each row. No, they're crocheted around one leg and worked up this way. So I start with one color, and then the next one, where you're just working into your foundation chain, you are doing color work in crochet, which means that I only do half of one stitch before I switch to the next color, and then I do half of that stitch before I switch to the next color, so that I can keep the colors nice and tidy. And doing that, the first, like, you do, like, I don't even know how many, 3 rounds or 4 rounds or something. That took me an hour for each little leg, for that little tiny bit on the bottom. And then the rest of the shorts took me, I don't know, an entire movie. I did the first leg 3 times, and then the second one 2 times. And I'm like, if it doesn't work on the second one, forget it. He's only getting solid colored shorts, no more stripes. I was trying to figure out, how can I do it sideways and make that work? And I was thinking maybe I would switch it to that. But it definitely gives me pause if I were to make the other ones in this series. I have all of these patterns because they would all have the same issue. Or I would have the same issue with all of them. So it's adorable, but tedious. I do want to make these other ones. I just don't know if I could. I'm looking at the faces of the other ones, and the faces of the other ones look far more simple because they don't have 2-color face here where I have to carry the yarn across and carry the other color across, and it doesn't have a little snout to sew on that's got multiple colors, and the ears are all the same color except for on the bear. And the paws and the feet, you know, on the other ones are all the same color, so I wouldn't be working with black. So maybe I will. We'll see. I'm just going to cross fingers that it will go well if I choose to do it again, but I'm just giving you a warning that for a person that's a beginner with amigurumi, I wouldn't recommend this one, but if you are familiar with doing color changes and things, then by all means, have fun and give it a shot. Now, he doesn't have a little tail because he's got shorts. And so, like, I could have tried to make up a tail. There's not a pattern for it, but then he wouldn't have shorts. And I feel like the shorts were important. So this is gonna go into a bin of toys for grandchildren. I just would like to have a bin of amigurumi toys that I have made I have a handful. Right now I have this one. I have it was called Little Duck Girl. I have a pumpkin head, like jack-o'-lantern little girl, and I have is it a bear or a bunny? What did I make? A bear or a bunny? So I have those that I can put in, but I figure I'll just keep making them because I'm kind of crazy. I think it sounds fun, and then I'm halfway through and go, why did I start this? So the yarn that I used 2 different ones, just depending on what one I had, you know, the right color for. I used Rainbow 8 for, it is by Hobie. Is this going to focus? It's okay. And I also used Scapia's Katona, and I don't have the color names for these. This one is number 164, but these 2 I didn't have the colors for. And this one is color 10, or I think it was called Jet Black, possibly. And they are so close that I didn't have a problem with, you know, alternating those. Just found which one I had the color I wanted. It'll be so good to get this recorded so that I can clear off some space, because all of these things have just been sitting there waiting for me to record, and then I put it all away afterwards. But I haven't been able to package orders very easily because it's completely covering that table. So this will be good. Okay, the next thing that I finished a pair of Felici socks. I have been making some of these because I had a big basket of Felici sock yarn from my friend Kimberly. I dyed some yarn. I bought some bare Felici yarn and dyed it to go with this colorway, because I just didn't have anything that I thought looked good with it, and I wanted it to be the same base. I dyed, I think it was 22 or 23 grams, and I had 2.5 grams left. So I know that I could do, no, I think I figured out whatever it was I used, because that wasn't the right amount, what I said. I think I used 19 grams of yarn. I just wanted to make sure I had enough, but I don't want to waste. I don't want to have all this left over, because this is not something I'm going to be using very easily or readily. I want to use as much of it up as possible, so I want to get closer and closer and closer, you know, to the right amount of yarn that I wind off and dye, because I will do that again in the future. So I did not make them fully matchy-matchy. These stripes are not matching up, because I wanted to use as much of the 50-gram ball as possible, because I just had one 50-gram ball of this colorway, which is Cloudy with a Chance of Rainbows. And if I had, you know, matched them up, then I would have had shorter socks. And I did that with the last pair, but I wanted to have longer ones with this. So they still match. I mean, they still go together. It's obvious that these are a pair of socks that belong together. They just don't line up like that. So hopefully the recipient will be fine with this. I don't know. I'm just making stacks of socks for Christmas. I have a whole stash of Christmas gifts that I have been working on all year, and I will continue to work on. It's nice to know that I have that going for Christmas so that I don't have to stress when it gets closer. But I just cranked a sock tube on my circular sock knitting machine, and then I divided that in half, and I did afterthought everything. Afterthought cuffs, heels, and toes. And I think that's called a peasant heel, the afterthought heel, which I do the exact same thing that I do for a toe for the heel. And it can be scary to cut into your knitting, but I pick up the stitches first on needles, and then you snip the yarn in between and unpick almost to the edges, but leave a few stitches, and then you do your knitting, and then you go and weave in those ends. And so you know, after you've done it once, you see it's not a scary thing at all. You just have to try it once and just trust the process. It's just yarn after all. It's not like it's this major decision. It's just yarn. So just have fun with it and try things out. So the next thing that I finished, uh-oh, I dropped. It's okay. I finished the cowl. Oh, that's the back of it. That's so pretty. I finished my mermaid cowl. This is the Aranami shawl that I converted into a cowl, just like my friend Jules of So Sweet Violet did. I've mentioned this before, that she had a picture of this on Instagram, and I wanted to see the back because I was wondering how she made it into a cowl. And she showed me, she had just been knitting the shawl and then ended up serging it together down here. But it was so helpful for me to see the back on hers because I could see how I didn't need to do that. I could join it in the round by just overlapping, like bringing these points of the shawl together and then picking up stitches and joining it together, and then it would be in the round instead of back and forth. You know, it would now be a tube to work on. And then the top, I ended up doing the very last section. Normally what you do is you pick up all of these stitches and you knit, getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller up to a point. Like you can see a little scallop here up to a point. Well, right here you pick up stitches and you do short rows like this, getting wider and wider and wider. And then you come up over to the next one, pick up your stitches, and you knit wider and wider and wider and wider. And you just keep going around, and then it's flat on the top. And then I could just, after I did all of these little scallops, then I could just knit in the round. Not stockinette, garter stitch. And the hardest part for me, it wasn't hard actually, but the bind off. The bind off is a little too loose, a little too floppy. I need to unpick it and redo it, because normally when I do a bind off on a shawl or on a sweater, it's too tight and you want it to be looser. Well, with this, it's the top of a cowl and you want it to stay in, not flare out. So when I blocked it, it looks great, but it still feels a little bit soft, like it needs just to be brought in a little. So I need to unpick that and redo it. But the yarn, oh, I love this. The yarn is this set. It's my Blushing Lilacs Fade. And I started, first of all, I dyed these 3 as a set because I had some lilacs that a friend had given me a bouquet that I thought were so pretty, and these colors matched it beautifully, perfectly. And then I wanted to make this starting with this colorway right here. And I decided I wanted to use these, but I needed something on this end. So I wanted a peach. So I did kind of a peachy color into a rose gold, into a mauve-y kind of color, and then a lilac, just deeper and deeper plum. So I think that just turned out really beautiful. I'm just very happy with it. And this is a Christmas gift as well. So it's nice to have these done. Okay, what else? Let me see. I did, oh, okay. And while Ella, so now into, was that all the knitting of finished objects? Yes. Okay. So now into some other projects, some sewing and, oh, cross stitch as well later on. While we were waiting for Ella to go into labor because she was almost 2 weeks overdue, she was just needing to get her mind off of things. I wanted to spend some time with her, and so we decided one day to just spend the day just doing things. She ran errands with me. Then we decided, because we wanted to keep her moving, up and moving to help contractions to move along, because they didn't ever just do anything. They just, anyways. So we went to the fabric store and got some, what do they call it? Double gauze? Double knit gauze? Double gauze. Can't remember, but to make some blankets and burp cloths. So we made 3 blankets and 3 burp cloths, and that was just a fun project. We just trimmed the edges so that they were as straight as we could get it, but it likes to move around. It's kind of this waffly kind of weave. And we just did a rolled hem. Ella would cut and pin and I would sew. Yeah, we just got those done pretty quickly actually. And it was still a while after that before she had her baby. But it was fun. It was fun to spend the day doing that with her. But I did quite a bit more sewing. So let me get my sewing projects. I've got them back here. Okay, so first of all, I made just a very basic white blouse. I need some more basics in my wardrobe because I have a lot of kind of crazy patterns, really fun statement kind of pieces, but not a ton of basics. So I realized that when I made this crazy statement piece, my Miss Fisher duster jacket, that I didn't have anything basic to wear underneath it that I really wanted. Like I had something, but it didn't quite fit the bill. So, as well as I have some skirts and things that this just would work well with. So this is a fabric that I bought last year at Joann, and I don't even know what it's called, but it's super drapey and it has a little bit of 2-way stretch. 2-way? No, that would be 4-way. I don't know. Stretches both directions. And the pattern I used is this Simplicity one, Simplicity 9133. And I did view, what did I do? View D, where it has a scoop neck. But I shortened the sleeves. I was debating on doing sleeveless, so I was debating on doing sleeveless, but that would mean it would always need to be underneath something because I don't wear sleeveless things. Well, I mean, I would always be, anyways, doesn't matter. But I did not like the length that this had, so I shortened it as short as I could go. Let me see if I can show you. Let's take this off the hanger. Okay, here is the underarm, and this is the hem. The hem is the entire length here. So the way that this pattern is cut, I just did it as short as I could, and it still is a decent size sleeve, but I think I cut off 2 or more inches. So this is just lovely and drapey, but one thing I don't love is because it's so lightweight, you really see the facing. Not just the facing, let's see if we can see. There's a facing here, which is okay, but the seam allowance between the facings, you can't see it in there. I think I'm going to trim that really short, and I might even make the facing even shorter. I don't know. But it fits great, and I probably could use a black one and maybe one other colored one because it's just a good basic one. Basic piece. And then I made another not basic piece because that's just what I do. I made myself a dress. I made the McCall's 8090, and I did view A. View A with the length of C. I actually made it longer than both of these. In the picture, it comes to her knees, and I wanted it to come down like an inch or so below my knees. Well, I used some Liberty Tanalon fabric, and I had this blue that I purchased last summer, and I was doing my very best to get everything, to be very creative and careful in my cutting so I could get everything out of one fabric. But then when I decided to lengthen it, I knew that wasn't going to be possible. So I went back and I got a contrasting fabric. I was debating that already, but I decided I did want something contrasting. I don't know, just to give it some flair. So I don't think these fabrics necessarily look like they go together, but I love how they look together. So I did contrast here, and then I did the bottom tier, that other fabric. And this actually comes down almost mid-calf, so it's like T-length. And because of that, it kind of looks like a house dress. Or moo-moo. Like, yeah, especially because of the sleeves. At first, I tried slightly gathering the sleeves in just a bit and using this fabric to do a narrow bias binding on the edge to bring the sleeve in. I did not like how it looked. I did one sleeve, I tried it on, did not like how it looked, so I unpicked it and did it like the pattern showed. And so I have a picture of me wearing this here. And it's so comfortable. It's very fun to wear. I love the colors. I don't really have much blue in my wardrobe, so I like that. I also added pockets, because what is the point of a dress without pockets? But I used every bit of fabric. So my pockets are a little bit narrow. My hands don't go in like this. Like when you go to put a hand in, it's more like this. But I didn't have any bigger pieces. And I could have pieced things together, but I didn't want to. But I mean, like, this is the biggest piece I have left of fabric. And of this one, this is the biggest piece I have left. So I was very, very creative in my cutting and careful. But I have these scraps left, and I don't keep scraps anymore. So, I don't know. Jules, these are too bright for you, huh? I used to keep my scraps, and I made lots of scrappy projects, and they took over my space. And I think it was probably 2019 or 2020, I went through and decluttered and destashed my scraps. And I know a lot of people that love scraps. I used to collect them. I loved them, but I just don't use them enough anymore. So, yeah, it's nice to have these. Like, I have worn this dress and my top once or twice, but I hesitate wearing them because I want to keep them nice for this. But then it takes me so long and I miss half the summer not wearing it. So I just decided I'm just gonna wear it. So I wore them a couple times. Okay, what else have I made? Oh, yes. So that's all of my finished projects, except for one. So the Barbie movie came out a few days after my daughter had her baby, and I had tickets to like the day before it came out, but I couldn't go to that, so I gave those to a friend, which I'm so glad that she was able to go with her two daughters. But I was able to get tickets the next day, the day it released, with my husband and my daughter Nadia, and we went to see it. But I had plans to make this whole Barbie jumpsuit because I have a love of Barbies, especially from the 80s, and one of them was Dream Glow Barbie that has this pink sheer overlay with glow-in-the-dark stars on it. And I thought, ooh, I wonder if I could come up with anything that has kind of that vibe to it. Well, I was looking for fabric to go with this dress and came across the most fabulous sheer pink mesh with glittery hearts. And I was like, I'm gonna have to make myself a jumpsuit out of that with a lining, obviously, because they're just completely sheer, for the Barbie premiere. That didn't end up happening. I had it all cut out, but I couldn't get it sewn. But we still went, and I was wearing this fabulous pink dress, but it was so late that I didn't even take a picture because we went and got home like after midnight, I think. But I will say I was extremely disappointed in the movie. Very disappointed in it. It crushed my soul to not love it as much as I had hoped. I still love Barbie though, so I'm still making that jumpsuit, and you'll see it next time because I've been sewing it. But in the meantime, my husband and I, has a signage and graphics company, and he is getting started into the LED neon signs. He does a wide variety of signage, but this is one that he hasn't really done, and he thought, okay, well, let's go in and try it, because I told him I wanted to make some. I said, I want to do that. And I said, I want to make a Barbie sign. And so he actually spent, I didn't know he was doing that, but he laid out the graphic, the file for it, because you have to have a cut file and things. Anyways, he routed that out, and we decided for a date one day we were going to go in and do a craft together and make this sign. So let me get it to show you. Are you ready for the fabulousness? Okay, here it is. Ooh. Okay, it's not turned on yet. Now, I'm going to tell you, this is the very, very first sign that I have made like this. So it has some issues, but I love it, and I'm so proud of it. Let's turn it on. It's going to be bright. Okay, now I'll show you. No, it's not showing up too much what the issue is. That it's brighter in certain areas than others. Love it. So my husband wanted to know, what are you going to do with that? I said, well, I'd hang it in the kitchen if you'd let me, but I will put it in my yarn room. And I will use it when I go to trade shows, because I have a whole Barbie collection, like yarn collection. So this is going to go with me when I do yarn festivals. I loved it. So excited to get into that. That will be more my husband's thing though. I would love to do it, but I'd have to go into his work all the time for that, and I can't do that. I just don't have the ability, the time. So anyways, we have the Barbie sign, and I think that's fabulous. Okay, let's talk about fun mail. I had some fun mail to share last time as well, and this time I have a package that I got from my friend Amy Loudon, Taylor S Studios. We were talking about how I was awake one night, I couldn't sleep, and found myself online, as one does, searching for things that you just don't need. And I was searching for Care Bear stuff. She's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I just really am in the mood for all Care Bear things lately. And she's like, oh, I have something I'm going to send you. So she sent me this. Isn't it fabulous? It's fabulous. I'm not even a graphic tee kind of girl, but I have worn this quite a few times. It's just kind of slightly cropped, but not. And I put this on, and my daughter's like, oh, that's perfect. I said, this is just like the shape that I would have worn in the 90s, except we would have rolled the sleeves up. So I rolled the sleeves up quite a bit. But what I really need are pink pants or blue pants that match, and I don't have those. I was looking, but I haven't found any that I like yet. So she sent me that, which reminded me of a gift that another friend had given me that I had put away, so I pulled it out to use it, and that is this adorable Care Bear journal. Oh, it's so cute. So cute. This looks like a Care Bear either playing card or memory card from a memory game. I don't know which. But I think it's adorable. And I'm trying to figure out what this is from. If this is from a book or a game, like a box or something. Anyways, love it. So Amy also in the same package sent some fabric to me that I love. It's got castles on it. Perfect. And I was thinking that I could actually use this to make a cute top for my granddaughter. I was thinking I'd make a project bag, but as we've discussed, I have a lot of project bags. I still would use this for a project bag if I don't make a fun top for my granddaughter, I will make a project bag for myself. And then she sent me this sock set that is so pretty. And I forgot to ask Amy, but I'm assuming it is a one of a kind because it doesn't have a label on it. But oh, it's just so soft and just yummy. So I love that. Okay, so there's, oh, and she sent me one other Happy Mail thing. Here's the Happy Mail. I thought this was fun. So if you live in England, you're probably thinking, okay, big deal. That's just common household item, staple that everybody has, but it is not something that is a household item here. Actually, we have Jell-O pudding, like mixes that you could make, but I don't know if this is the same thing. I haven't made it yet. I just understand that this is something that it's common for you to use as sauce on a lot of things. You could tell me, if you are familiar with this, tell me how you use this. But what I like is that I could use coconut milk or almond milk to make it so I can make it dairy-free for me. So I am very excited to try that. So tell me how you like to use it. Okay, so that was my Happy Mail. I want to show you a couple of projects that I'm working on right now. I have my Poolside Paradise sock set that I released recently along with 2 other pool party colorways. And I just was dying to cast this on, to knit something with this. And I started a sock and I knit the leg, the cuff and the leg, and decided, nope, this pattern is not right for this sock. So I ripped it out. I was at the dentist with my daughter, and so I was online looking for a different pattern, and I found another one and started that. And then we got home from the dentist and I pulled it out to work on it again, went, nope, don't like that. And I ripped it out again and just decided I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm just gonna do my own thing. Here it is caked up. Ooh, isn't that so fun? So fun. So I wanted just a basic all over textured pattern, not lace because I didn't want the lace to get lost in it, but texture so it's not just plain stockinette. But it's nothing where you have to really see a pattern, it just gives it some texture, and that's what I've got here. So you can see the texture there. It's these wavy diagonal lines. So I decided I'm going to actually, because this is the thing that I struggle with, is finding patterns that are just simple, basic, all over textured sock patterns that will have a 60 stitch cast on, because that's my preferred cast on. And I decided I'm just going to create my own and I'm going to put them on my website. So when I have this done, I'm going to put it on my website on candyshopyarns.com, and it will be free on there unless you want it to be a download. If you want it to be a download, then you'd need to go to my Etsy shop and purchase it there. But I just realized I'm not the only one that has that same need, because this is great for highly variegated yarn. I just think it looks so fun. So I finished the leg, and now I'm going to start the heel, and I'm going to do a heel flap. This is going to be a basic sock. You know, the construction will be pretty basic, like my vanilla sock, but it has a textured pattern to it that's series of knits and purls on this one. So I'm not a fan of writing patterns, but I have written quite a few out of necessity or inspiration. But like this, I feel like this is out of necessity. I just need my own patterns. So that's what I'm working on. Oh, and this is a project bag that I made that I have it in, which is fun because it matches perfectly. Like, look at those colors. This is one that I made several years ago. It just looks perfect together. Not like my project bag and my project always match, but it's fun when they do. And then as part of my Finish It 2023 challenge for myself, I decided, oh, I'm going to pull out my cross stitch. This is my cross stitch bag. And I have 2 projects that are unfinished. I don't know if I'll get them both done this year, but I'll at least get one done. So the first one is the Forest Friends. What is it called? Where is the pattern? Forest, Fox, and Friends. Forest Banner, Forest, anyways, it's all Forest something. Let me pull the patterns out. I've made this one. I've made this one. I can't recall if I made any of the other, if I've made any of the houses. I'm working on this one. And I can't recall if I made this one or not yet. But that was on a pink fabric that I think I dyed. I think it was Monaco that I bought at Michael's, and I dyed it myself. I'm pretty sure. But I'm not working on this one right now. What I'm working on is this one. I have all these fancy knitting project bags, and then you look at my cross stitch and it's in a Ziploc baggie. Okay, so this one is called Merry Christmas, My Dear by Country Cottage Needleworks. I started this maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3. Oh, that would be embarrassing if it was longer than that. It wouldn't have been longer than 3. But I have been working on this again, and this is how far I am. I'm like trying to see what can you see? So I've done the top, I did the middle, and now I'm working on the letters that say Merry Christmas, My Dear, and then this repeats on the bottom. So my goal is to finish this one this year. If I can finish it and get to the other one, great. But even though I'm calling this Finish It 2023, I suspect that there will be also a Finish It 2024, though I have done really good. I have finished so many things. I finished my quilts, all of them. Yes, I just had the one that I said I don't know if I will, and there's one I never started. I have the fabric for, but it doesn't have to be that. It can be anything else. I finished knitting projects. I've finished some sewing projects. I'm working on cross stitch, and I have finished a whole bunch of books. So I was inspired by several of my friends to do more reading again. I used to be a voracious reader, and that kind of just died down because I prefer to read a physical book rather than digital or listening to it on Audible. But as soon as I pick it up, I read a paragraph and I'm out. I'm asleep. But I realized I actually have to build the skill up again. So I've been working on it, and now I can read and not fall asleep immediately. So that's good. So I have finished quite a few books. I'm keeping track, and I'm probably on book 15 now, maybe. So I finished all but one that I've started. Yeah, I think so. That I want to finish. I don't think I have to finish every book, but I have a lot of books where I was in the middle of them and I wanted to finish them. So I think all but one. So I'm just working through all of those projects. Okay, is that everything? Yes, so now it is time for shop news. So what is happening in the Candy Shoppe Yarns right now? Well, this is kind of old news now because it's been a while, but I am the featured dyer for Row 1 Yarns this month, for the month of July. And I have been working on that and keeping that a secret for so long now. It's been painful. But I'm so glad that everybody's got their minis now. If you are familiar with the Row 1 subscription, they have a monthly subscription where they feature a different dyer and they send out 20, is it 10 gram minis from that dyer that month, and they're packaged so cute and labeled so perfectly, and they are already wound, ready for you to just start using. And the instructions were to give a variety of colorways from my shop that I offer. So that's what I worked hard on doing. It was so hard to narrow it down, but I did some tonals, some speckles, some variegated, some solids. I did some from different collections of mine, and it was just really fun. And then when that released, when people got that, I hosted a giveaway on Instagram for that, which I had announced on the previous episode that I recorded that was in slow motion. So that has since ended, unfortunately, but it was really fun that I got to do that. And I've also been seeing things that people have been making with their minis. So if you are a subscriber to Row 1 Yarns and you got that, oh, I would love to hear. I would love to hear. But I'm seeing things people are making. I'd love to know, what is it that you make with your minis? I know a lot of people do blankets with theirs. So that is what is happening in the candy shop. I'm just working on restocking all of my Barbie colorways and just having fun with the collections right now. The Barbie collection, the Pool Party collection, and my Mermaid Kingdom collection are just so fun. They're really popular right now. I'm having fun with it. I want to cast on so many things. It's hard to hold back because I'm finishing my fragmentation shawl. I'm putting a lot of my time into that because I want to have that off the needles, because I want to cast on a sweater. Just so many things I want to make. I think we all have that problem. Sometimes I hit this like, I don't want to do anything. Nothing sounds interesting. But right now it's like I want to do everything. It was kind of rough though. There was about a week and a half, 2 weeks where I didn't even have time to do any of that. I didn't knit. I think I knit 2 rows in 2 weeks. So while it looks like I did a ton, it's also been a month, and yeah, it's been a month. So most of it was almost done already. That's okay. It doesn't matter because it's not a competition. It's just about enjoying the process. I just want to enjoy every stitch. I have slowed down my knitting. I used to knit like feverishly, like faster, faster, faster. Now I do it so I enjoy the process. And it may mean that it takes me twice as long, but I'm enjoying it. And it's also easier on my arms. So I flick as I'm knitting, but now sometimes I don't. Sometimes I move the yarn, or I still kind of flick, but I move it in a bigger motion. Because if I move my whole arm rather than just my finger, moving just my finger causes problems up in here, and I get tennis elbow problems because tennis elbow stems from your wrist. So if I move my whole arm and it's just a mild and slow, gentle motion, because instead of just doing this all the time, I kind of have a motion like this, that's been easier on my hand and I enjoy it a lot more. It depends on the project, what kind of project I'm doing, but my goal is just to enjoy it, enjoy the process. So if you are a maker, how do you like to knit or crochet? I mean, are you all about doing it as fast as you can because you just want to finish it and get to the next thing, or are you a process? I think I'm a combination of the two because there's a lot I want to make and I want the item, but I want to enjoy it as well, the process. I think I like both. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time, and I love your comments, and I look forward to having you back again. See ya. Bye.